Okay, good afternoon. We're going to continue on with the information technology and web technology. Information technology and computers, they ask a lot of different types of questions. You're actually going to have to apply information, look at some screenshots, answer file location type questions. This is the one that says 49 questions. On the exam that I did, there was only 48, so there was one less. So just keep that in mind. 1981, IBM introduced the first computer for home use. I do believe that was one of the questions. They asked who introduced the first computer. It was a multiple choice or true false question. I can't remember. But that's who introduced the first home use. They were in use for many years before that, but home use didn't happen until 1981. Computers, what you want to know about computers within your study guide is definitions. They ask a lot of definitional questions, and so they'll give you language, they'll give you program, memory, RAM, different things, and that'll be the same answers, and you'll have 5 different questions, and so you'll have to select the right answer based on the definition within the study guide. So again, keep in mind your definition, your glossary, your verbiage comes from your study guide in most questions. So languages, that's the computers use as a set of words to communicate. Our programs are the set of instructions. So we have lots of different programs that tell our computers what to do. You've got Word, you've got Excel. All of those are programs, and it tells the computer exactly, it gives them instructions on what should happen. We have memory. So we've got different types of memory. We've got temporary memory and we've got permanent memory within our system. That's where we're going to store our information. And then systems. So what do systems consist of? They consist of 3 parts. They consist of your hardware, such as your mouse, your keyboard, your operating system, your OS. So it could be Apple, it could be Android, it could be Windows. So those are different types of operating systems. Then we have software applications. So those software applications are larger programs that we're going to use, and such applications as far as you could use Microsoft Suite as an application. It has multiple programs within inside it. It's going to do multiple functions as far as the applications go. And computer processor. So that's the speed. That's how fast it processes. And our computer processing unit, our CPU, is the brain of our computer. So softwares, different types of software. We have our word processing, which could be Microsoft Word, and you do have questions on which would be a word processing, which would be a spreadsheet, which would be Excel or Google. I will tell you not all of the different program names, brands that we have available are listed within your study guide. You will have to go out and do some research, Google, when you have certain questions to select the right one. Oh, excuse me. We have our Access, which is my SQL. So they kind of sort, search, they let you create reports. Spreadsheets, they create tables, they organize, they analyze, and they store data. And they do a lot of things that we can utilize within our organization. Billing or database programs, you got Metasoft, you got AltaPoint, LITEC, desktop publishing. So you're going to combine both text and graphics. Those are the things we use to make brochures, market, newsletters. For publisher, you got Publisher, Microsoft Publisher, Adobe You can have web pages that the desktop publishing is used for too, such as Dreamweaver. Your operating system is going to supervise and control tasks or instructions of the computer. So again, tell it what to do and how it should function. So if it crashes, we may have a glitch found under the control panel. So if under system, so if you get asked a question as far as when you're working remotely from home, and they said, well, what kind of operating system are you utilizing? Especially if you're not real sure, you go out to the control panel, you go to your systems, and it will tell you exactly what you're using. Are you using Windows 7? Are you using Windows 10? Are you using, what are you using? You could also have a question if they show you a screen print or they ask you some other things. What is the operating system that you're seeing? How do you find it? And then our computer processing operation, again, it's the speed of which you're going to be able to download information. And that's measured in megahertz per second. So our memory, we can either have permanent, which is on our hard drive, or temporary, which is RAM. So RAM is random access memory. Random access memory is the memory that you have while you're working on the computer. So as you're working and you're creating a Word file or you're creating a spreadsheet, you're creating anything that you're working on, an access program. If you fail to save that, if the computer crashes or you turn it off, when you turn it back on, that is gone. That information is gone. So it's only available while you're working on the computer. The ROM, it's read-only memory. So that's a permanent type of, it's a permanent storage used for important data. So that's what your programs use. That's what's saved on to our computer. That does not change. So it's going, unless we do updates, they update to fill in those blanks. Our BIOS is our basic input-output system. And so it is a type of ROM, or read-only memory, that's used to the computer to establish basic connections. So when you first turn it on, that's what's telling the computer what to do when it comes on. So it's telling it to turn on, and then what applications, programs should be started. Caching, you've seen caching. You normally have to fill out to clean out your cache throughout, because what will happen is it will save your passwords and then all of a sudden nothing works, nothing's remembering anything. So the caching is a sorting of frequently used data to access it extremely quickly. So it's RAM that connects directly to your CPU. And then virtual memory is a space on a hard drive used to temporarily store data and swap it in and out of RAM as needed. So you may not always need it. Okay, terms that you're going to have. You've got a file, which is your document. You've got a folder, which can hold multiple files or and different types of files, such as your JPEGs, your TIFF files, your PDFs. The location is the path of the file. So we want to know the exact location, and within the certification for this, you're going to have several questions about the location of a specific file. So you need to be able to correctly identify that file location to answer the question correctly. This is one of the areas that I think some of the students have problems with, because they didn't pay enough attention to the small minor details within the question, exactly what they were asking, where it was located. And then we want to know the file size. So there are questions to convert bytes to kilobytes to megabytes to gigabytes. You do have a file size table listed within your study guide. So you just want to make sure that you understand that. So for example, a gigabyte is a unit of data storage size that represents 1,024 megabytes or 1,048,576 kilobytes of data. And now we're up to trilobytes and so forth. So that only really goes up to gigabytes here, but it still lets you know what's included. So you have lots of terms that are in this chapter. And again, you're going to be able to access that. But backing up your computer, you've heard it, have you backed up your computer, such as your billing software, especially when you're out in the workforce. If anything happens, you want to make sure that you have a backup. You've backed up to a certain point. If someone does ransomware, if they do a Trojan virus, you want to be able to back up to that specific part, day, month, year that you have saved your data to. Depending on the data that you have, depending on the importance of it, it's going to determine how often do you back up. And then just the utility of copying all those files from your hard drive to another hard drive is that backup utility. So one alternative, especially when I don't see this used as much as except maybe for individuals or very small businesses, is that CDRW, which is that CD readable, writable drive. So you can continually add to that CD until it no longer accepts data. But they normally 600 or more megabytes is about how much it holds. So you're not going to get a lot of information on that. Your modem is what you use more than likely in your home, especially for you to convert your digital signals into an analog signal. So that's how you get onto your internet. That could be how you're connected to get your television. That's what we use. We use a modem because we use an internet connection. Your drivers, your printer, transferring files, serial ports versus parallel ports. Those are one of the things that you want to look at. Your serial ports are used to connect analog modems, so you can connect to the web. If you look at it, it's normally that fat end on the end of your monitor that you can insert into either your hard drive or your laptop. It looks like that. The parallel ports are for printers, so that's just, it's able to talk back and forth between your external storage device to that printer. You have your USB, which is a universal serial bus. Some of the things that we use acronyms for, those are some of the questions that you have just to see if you truly understand what those acronyms stand for. An application we've already talked about, the bandwidth. And as we move forward, these are actually in your study guide as far as a comprehensive listing of these terms where you can go in and you can read the definition. So you just want to make sure as you're reading these that you read very closely and you pay attention to what's in the question and what is listed as a definition. I will tell you that there are multiple places for these terms, acronyms, abbreviations throughout the study guide. So one of the things that I recommend you doing is locating where all of these acronyms and definitions are located so that you can double check several places, especially when they ask you a terminology question, because it may not be specific in one area of the study guide, but it'll say it exactly in another part of the study guide. Okay, so understanding how to understand folder file location. So this is a print screen. So what you would get is you would get multiple print screens like this, and it will ask you to identify the file location. So you need to understand where they're stored on the computer by the information given. So just by looking at this, we can see that I have documents, I have pictures, I am on this PC for this hard drive. This hard drive is this PC, and I am in drive C. So it could ask you, are you in drive C? Then the next thing, it would show you a picture of drive C, and then it could ask you in the program files, where is a specific file located? So that the client location. So drive C, program files, HP, log a capture, the client, is that true or false? So as we're going across here and as we look down, it can be complicated and it can be a little confusing when you begin to look at this, especially when maybe this part of the test you've been testing for a long period of time. If at any point that you notice things are beginning to be confused or a little hazy, that may be a point that you need to stop at, because these are questions that you will make simple mistakes based on not paying attention to details. So again, we're in Windows, we're in program files, so then it begins to indent. So we got HP, we got Intel, then our next file is, so HP and Logitech is on the same indented. Then we have Logitech capture, and then we go down and we have the client. So this would be false because it's not HP, it was actually Logitech. Okay, so again, on this one, you're going to have, as far as information, technology, and computers, you're going to have questions about megabytes, gigabytes, questions on what's hardware compared to software, different types of software, and then also understanding file location. With web technology, there's 29 questions here. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you do have to apply a lot of the information. So some of this is critical thinking. Some of it's just straight in front of you. Others critical thinking. So you may not have the answer directly in your study guide because it says it only has 80% of the answers within your study guide. So that doesn't make certain that you're going to pass your exam, because you do need an 85% to pass. But for this part of the thing, you have 80% of the information. So on this one, we do have a lot of terms. Again, you have this all broken down. Some of the terms that we've seen, like an address bar. Within the address bar, it's located, especially when we're on the internet, it's that bar that we put our address in. It's your URL, your web address. So what is antivirus software? Apps is a small software of application. So you have apps on your phone, and now we have apps on our computer. We have an app type setup where we didn't before. We have Bluetooth, and what's a blog? You're going to have questions like that. Okay. Chat room, cloud computing, video, WWE, the World Wide Web. What is a webinar, a web page, a wiki? So those are terms that you will have questions on. File formats. The file formats that we have. So you have a document, like a Word document, a GIF, an HTML or an HTM, JPEG, MPEG, PDF, PowerPoint, a TIFF file, a text file, a zip file. So you have all of those. The zip file is a Windows compression format, so that lets us compress a large size of data down into a small amount, so we actually can send large amounts of data between computers, especially when you're looking at, you could get a zip file in your email because it allows you to download that to your computer and then open it up where you could see multiple things. Whereas if you were to send multiple files, it could overload your amount of download. So it would surpass what you were allowed. So when they're going to zip those files, we see that done a lot, especially in healthcare, business, because we do have a lot of files. Okay, so do you have a secure connection? You're going to have several questions on this particular thing. Do you know if it's secure versus not secure? You simply can tell if it's secure by having the S. So the HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's just, it's transferring us to that location, to that web address. Whereas the S has a Hypertext Transfer Protocol, but it has a secure layer. That S is secure, meaning it's got built-in security. So if you're getting onto a VPN, if you're getting onto a specific website, if you're going to work on a specific website, you want that S out beside it. When you're looking, are you on a secure site, when you're putting in your banking information, you want that S up there. Otherwise, it's very easily hacked. So Microsoft Edge, which was formerly Internet Explorer, we have a lot of we don't have a lot of applications, but we have certain applications such as Meditech that continues to want to use Internet Explorer, that type of application, because that's the one it works with. It doesn't work with Chrome, it doesn't work with Firefox, it doesn't work with a lot of those other ones. So in order for it to show that it is secure, you'll see that lock in the top of the address bar. So again, you're going to have questions on, is it secure, is it not secure? And you're simply looking for that S. So here is an example that you can see. I am on the Microsoft Edge, and it shows the lock, and it shows the HTTPS. So it is a secure look at things. Whereas, and we're just looking search features, what you're looking for. So that's an example of what you would see for security. Now, we also have questions within the web as, can you locate up-to-date web addresses? Because on your job, you're going to have to find information. So how do you locate that information? If you're simply looking for billing associations like we have on the one screen here on the left, you're going to put billing associations, and it will populate all of the organizations that are listed as billing associates. You've got news, you've got images, maps, shopping, so more. And you can get more specific. You can put in a specific billing association, such as the American Medical Association. You can put in AAPC, AHIMA. If you are wanting to find specific carrier information within this Google search box, you can put that Medicare Part B for Kentucky. You can, and you will have questions that do revolve around that. If you're looking for the Advanced Beneficiary Notice, the ABN, and you're looking for the CMS, you could put in the site you're wanting to find the ABN on, and it would actually populate that. It shows you that there's about 1,060 results. So the more specific using and or that you can get to, then you can actually begin to break that down. So for Blue Cross Blue Shield carrier Branson, Missouri, that could be a specific question. You have some listed within the study guide, and you can utilize those. They all have hyperlinks. What I want you to keep in mind is you don't have to go and look at your study guide every time. You can simply go to Google. And by looking at Google, you're going to go up into the search bar, and you're going to put Blue Cross Blue Shield Branson, Missouri, and then it's going to populate anything that really brings up Branson and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now, what it's going to ask you on the certification is, what is the web address? What is the correct web address? And you'll have several web addresses, and it could say Blue Cross Blue Shield. It could say Cox Health. It could say any of these. But when you look at it, you want to get to some of the ones that are the most current, but you'll want to double check. So that Missouri Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is www.anthem.com. So the correct web address for Blue Cross Blue Shield for Branson, Missouri is www.anthem.com. You do need to verify on the carrier's website. You don't want to take, if CMS says this is the website you need to utilize because that's what they're looking at, that website could potentially not be a good website. So you want to go ahead, go and double check all these websites. You want to be aware of changes. So each 6 months or each year, you need to go in and verify the websites that you're using, because that's the websites you're going to find information on payer specific contracts, eligibility, things of that nature. But you have most of the questions within the web technology. Are you verifying addresses of insurance carriers? Okay, so we're going to end with the web technology here. The next one is ICD-10. It's all the coding. It's ICD-10, it's CPT, and it's HCPCS. That one will take a little bit longer, not much, but it will take longer than the last two because I do go in a little bit more detail. It's billing certification specific. The coding test will get into more specifics for coding.